Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where in the world you're tuning in from. Welcome to NamesCon Online Day 2. Yesterday was jam-packed with a plethora of informative talks, and today is certainly going to continue that trend. Plus, we have the closing of the domain auction later, so get your virtual bid paddles out for an exciting time. And without further ado, let's get right into today's programming. Industry winners and losers in a post-COVID world. Get ready for a deep dive into which industries are flourishing and which are being hit hardest by COVID-19. We're going to look at fast-looking, forward-looking data points and research studies to help domainers, how did I even, I'm still waking up here. So domainers find the hottest and fastest growing industries for 2021 and beyond. Please welcome Smart Sites co-founder, Alex Mellon. How are you, Alex?
Hey, good. How are you? Glad to
Good.
be
I hope
here.
you're a little, I hope you're a little bit more awake than I am over here.
I think it's later, a little bit later in the day for me than you. Where are you based out of?
I'm in New York. Where are you?
You're also in New York, so we're in the
Oh,
same
okay.
time
Yeah,
zone.
I've just probably been up a lot earlier
Probably,
this morning.
probably.
So, but thanks for being here, and I'm
Yep.
just going to let you ride with it. I mean, I'm really looking forward to
Cool.
seeing this. All right.
Sounds good. Let me just move my screens around a little bit, and we'll get rolling. Perfect. So today we're going to be talking about the industry winners and losers in a post-COVID world. Just a little quick intro about myself. So I'm the co-founder of Smart Sites. I started the agency along with my brother almost a decade ago now, and we're consistently rated one of the fastest growing agencies and top digital agencies in the US and in the world. And we're at this point, we're at 143 full-time employees, 6 offices worldwide. And we've been growing at a good clip, focusing on digital marketing, website development, and through all of that work, I personally get to interact with a lot of data from Google that really helps us do our marketing job. But for you guys watching in the domaining world, I think it'll be very useful to review some of this data and see how it's applicable to you guys, and hopefully it helps you spot trends and invest in the right domains and the right industries. So quick intro before we begin. So the whole premise of this session is to talk about the fallout from COVID and to really review which industries are winning, losing, and how things are shaping up as we exit the peak of COVID. But before I jump into that, I wanted to at least take a step back and look at it for a top level view. So most of the data I'm going to be discussing today is specifically for the US. I know for NamesCon, it really is a global event with people joining from all over the world. So I just wanted to be cognizant that what's happening in the US isn't necessarily what's happening everywhere else. Everyone's been moving at a slightly different trajectory with the COVID crisis. So this is data as of today, new confirmed cases per day. So the US, as you could see, is starting to kind of exit the crisis zone and starting to stabilize a little bit. Of course, no one knows about second wave, third wave, any other implications, but generally speaking, we're exiting the crisis zone. For other countries, it's not the same. I don't know how well you could see the lighter colors here. I put the source on the bottom so you guys could pull up that webpage later. It updates every day. You could see other countries. The European Union has been going up consistently for a couple of weeks now. India is going up at a very fast rate. So just something to be cognizant of, that the data I'm going to be talking about is primarily in the US, where we might be at a slightly different area than the country you might be from, or the country for which you might be investing in domains for. Taking a little deeper dive at the US, so even though the trend is going down, and going down by a good amount, this is how we stand at a state by state level. So I know this is a lot of data here and a lot of geography, especially for people who might not be from the US. But the states that are in darker blue are the ones that are reopened. Lighter blue are reopening. The color, the beige color in between is pausing. So you could see on the left side you have Washington, Oregon. Oregon, Idaho, and you have 3 states on the bottom that are pausing. And then you have a bunch of states that are reversing, meaning that they were open, but now they're putting restrictions. And those are the ones in orange. You could see there's a good amount of them between Florida, Texas, and California. That alone is a big chunk of the US population. So again, just before we jump into the actual data, so we could frame what we're looking at and realize that it's not only country specific, it's region specific, and these data points may very well change, and all this industry data may change. So with all of those disclaimers in mind, I'm going to jump into the data for you guys. So from a study Google did, looking at shopper behavior, and again, this is in the U.S. Surprisingly, even with everything that's going on, and this study was done kind of at the peak panic in late March, consumers are shopping as much or more than they were before the pandemic. In fact, 60% of the consumers are spending more than they did before the pandemic started. So it's important to note that even though the media could sometimes portray it as super negative, and in some cases, in some ways it is, the consumer demand is there, and a lot of industries are really thriving. So jump quickly into the industry breakdown. So this is industry by industry. Again, lots of data and hard to look at, so I'm going to try to interpret it for you guys quickly. So the first row, you could see the heading of the column, so that those are the industries. Anything that you're seeing that is not in red is actually industries that are doing better. So you could see, and this is week by week views, almost across the board, a lot of industries, or most industries, are doing better. So there definitely there's definitely a lot of change that's going on with from when COVID hit to now. But generally speaking, although a couple industries obviously are very hit, travel, for example, or in-person conferences, many are doing well. So today I'm going to go through the data and see which are doing well, and give you a kind of further breakdown of the sub industries of the industry, so you could focus your domain investments in the correct place. And final kind of disclaimer before we jump into the data. It's important to note that traditional behaviors really went out the window with COVID. For example, on the left side, it shows that search volume for do-it-yourself projects at 1 a.m. And you could see obviously going up a lot. I took off the actual values, but even from those 3 days, the end and the beginning, the end is almost twice more. You could see the huge spikes. And then there's also huge FOMO, which is fear of missing out. So on the right side, you see searches for toilet paper in the US. And again, I took out the raw values, but the amount of searches for toilet paper went up. I think it was over 100,000%. So it's important to know that while we look through aggregate data, that there's going to be a lot of industries and a lot of sub-industries that will have these kind of huge spikes and huge movements. So aside from looking at general trends, it's important to think about that and be cognizant of that, because that in itself will create a lot of opportunities. And I don't think all of that is over. I think as certain waves keep hitting in different areas, we'll see that again. And countries and regions who are only gearing up right now and their cases are going up, as we saw European Union was going up, and especially India is going up at a fast clip. They might be soon experiencing some of the phases that we saw in the US a couple of months ago. So that's all good to just keep in mind. So with all of that said, I'm going to jump through the data. So I have a lot of very good data charts to share with you guys. We don't have too much time together, so I'm going to go through them fairly briefly, but I believe NamesCon will be sharing this deck later on for anyone who wants to look into more detail. And I'm always available to chat about any of this data or anything related to this, or really anything in the digital space. Cool. So this is the top level view. This is the industry's pretty much winners and losers, and there were more losers. I just, for the sake of this presentation, I'm going to be focusing on the winners, where the opportunities really lie. So the charts cut off at 4 losers meaning for negative percentage. And the percentage represent search volume year over year. So that's by how much these industries jumped compared to the year before. And just quickly going down the list, fitness was the biggest winner in this data period that I looked at, followed by toys and games, food and groceries, computers, home and garden, consumer electronics, sporting goods, home improvements. And then on the flip side, auto parts, jewelry, footwear, apparel, and accessories took a big dive. And if you think about it logically, that's kind of makes sense, right? I think it's more and more people are on lockdown and at home. They were looking for more at-home fitness things. Food and groceries obviously became very important. People were buying computers both to work from home. Companies were buying it for their employees. Home and garden, obviously, this all transpired during spring and summer, so that increased that even more so, and the other categories. And then on the negative side, auto parts, obviously, as people were driving less, using their cars less. As an agency, we actually work with a lot of car dealerships and car brands. We work a lot with Porsche, with Volvo, the exotic brands, Bentley, Bugatti, Lamborghini. And it was a very crazy space to be in, because as COVID hit mid-March, almost every single state restricted the dealerships from being open. So literally all the dealerships had to close and couldn't even sell cars. And of course, with people are on lockdown and not using their cars, getting a new car or getting service was, of course, the last thing they were thinking about. So it was definitely an interesting period that we're coming out of now. Now, interestingly enough, the big problem in the auto space is lack of inventory, because although dealerships are now open and selling cars, and there's been a lot of pent up demand, people are buying cars, the factories themselves were closed. Most factories were closed starting March. And because of union rules and company policies, most were also closed for the summer. So they're only starting to reopen. So different success stories and challenges, of course, for every industry. But generally speaking, obviously, auto parts, service, even sales, more or less has been down as people have been in lockdown. So we're going to go through all these now categories in a little bit more detail. I'll give you sub categories for each, so you guys could do some further research on those sub industries and see if there's domain opportunities for you guys there. First one, so this is fitness, and I have you see on the top left is the category we're looking at, the greater category, and on the right is the subcategory. So fitness was if you guys remember, was the biggest increaser, increased the most year over year. The subcategories under that was weight training accessories was huge, exercise mats was huge, fitness machines, and fitness balls. So again, as you look through this, it'll make sense, because with people on lockdown and gyms closed literally across the nation, people were searching for and buying weight equipment and gym equipment for the house. And I think this is something they'll continue. You could see the spikes in there, and it goes up and down. I think it'll continue to be fairly hot industry, because I think it'll take a while for gyms to fully reopen everywhere. I think they're just starting to reopen in our area here in the NYC Metro. And I think it'll take a while until the majority of people feel comfortable going back to a gym. And of course, you still have a lot of people at home with workplaces closed. All of our offices, for example, in the US and across the world are still closed. And in this area, at least, most schools didn't fully reopen. So if kids can't go back to school, their parents are also at home, obviously. So this I think will continue increasing. Cool. Next one. See, I'm on time. Sorry. A little tight on time. 5 minutes. All right, I'm gonna have to go through this. When was the 5-minute warning? 2 minutes. All right, we're gonna go through this quick. Of course, the slides will be available to you guys later, but I'll go through the data really quick. Talking too much about it. Next one. So this is toys and games. So you could see party games, board games, literally all type of games. As people sit at home and have no way to connect, that's what they're researching. This is food and grocery, so bakery ingredients, prepared foods, so things you wouldn't even think of. People aren't even necessarily shopping for groceries right now, which they are also, but kind of prepared foods and baking ingredients are big. Computers, so not only computers, gaming computers was huge, but laptops was very big. Computer accessories as people sit at home. Household supplies. So this was a big one because it included toilet paper and paper towels, which really exploded in the U.S. as people feared the worst, that they're going to run out of toilet paper. But along with that, all kitchen and dining appliances, again, just driven by people sitting at home. For pet supplies, pet medication was big, but also everything pet related, again, from people spending more time at home with their pets. Small appliances, this is the appliance category, and I give a full breakdown here. Consumer electronics, there's a huge breakdown, so this is worth later for you guys looking through this exact breakdown and seeing the categories. And then sporting goods, basketball equipment, bicycles, skateboarding, literally all sporting equipment across the board. Home improvement, that was the breakdown for it. Obviously, with the spring and summer, people were looking a lot into home improvement stuff. Office furniture, and again, I have it completely by a breakdown. Desks were huge. Test chairs, and it's funny, this is spiking again now. So this data is a couple months old. Office furniture is spiking again now as kids go back to school, and school is becoming virtual. So everyone's buying all of this again. Not before they were buying it for themselves for a home office. Now they're buying it for their kids. This along with the computer equipment. I'm out of time, so this will be up for you guys to look through all the data, and I'm going to be in the lounge right after this for a Q&A. But definitely feel free to reach out if anyone needs any more up-to-date data or anything else regarding to this that they would love to chat about. And that's it. Let's see.
Alex,
Yes.
thank you so much. That's great. I would love to have seen, like, I think it was probably in around August when there was some news announcement and went across the wire. Like, Lysol is the only, spray that'll disinfect. And it's like, I would love to see what the search traffic and, the search and the traffic to their website. I'd love to see that spike.
It's been crazy how many industries have been created by this. Industries, companies. We've had so many people reach out to us as all of this happened about starting companies to sell face masks and disinfectants, and not just like a one-person operation, like companies with hundreds of millions of backing. So it's been interesting to see all of this.
Yeah, one of the interesting ones, and you might have caught it, is because everybody. I mean, you talk about virtually having a 100% adoption rate to live streaming. So you use Zoom, and people were buying stock in Zoom, but they were buying the wrong Zoom stock.
I remember reading that. I remember it's the stuff I had in the beginning in the first deck. It's the FOMO has been crazy, and it's not just toilet paper, like you said. It's spanned so many things, and that definitely creates opportunities as well. But those are the things that move so quickly. The jumps are Zoom stock within a couple of weeks was already overvalued. Like you really the correct Zoom stock. The other one. I don't know what people are buying, but
exactly.
It's been interesting, and I think all of this will continue, especially in countries like we saw in the beginning of my deck that are in a different stage than the U.S. So it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. So thank you so much. It was really great to see like how you looked at the data to like how COVID has changed the business landscape. All right, thanks a lot. So
Cool.
let's keep them up. Yeah, thank you.